So, my teen female family totally exploded while I was on spring break 2 weeks ago. I went on a trip with my grandparents and returned to my mom, moved out, and a serious sit-down talk about them divorcing. It's not exactly a surprise because they've both been acting weird and shady for a while, but that's not what I was expecting to come back to, and they could have let me unpack first, at least. They asked me if I had any questions, and I asked them which one cheated because that was my first thought. They got super uncomfortable and said that the reasons between them were private. I said not when it meant I suddenly lost my family over it, and they owe me at least some reason that this is happening, and we don't love each other anymore doesn't cut it. You don't just stop loving someone for no reason. That's dumb, so what? They said that was all I needed to know, and we needed to talk about how the living situation was going to work and everything. I told them that I didn't want to live with either of them if they were going to be like that. Everyone has been mad since then, and my mom came to talk it out last night. They still don't want to tell me why. I told them that if they were going to hide stuff, I'll just make up my own worst case and go with that. Since Mom left, it can all be her fault. Since it's her fault, I won't go with her or go see her. She got upset and said it was unfair and not her fault. I told her to give me the real reason or deal with it. My dad said I was out of line and that I said it could all be his fault then and the same deal. That started an argument between them, but I'm holding my own. Pretty sure at least one of them will crack and tell me what happens soon so I can decide how I feel about it. I don't need graphic details, but a simple "someone cheated" or "Mom is a secret lesbian, don't tell anyone" or "we've both really changed a lot and didn't want the same things" would help. If one of them did something bad, I want to know. If they won't own up or explain why there are no bad guys, they can be the bad guys. I had to talk to my school counsellor today, and she said that it's totally understandable, but playing them against each other is going to hurt everyone. So, am I the idiot? Jesus, kid, you are the idiot. Your parents have far more decorum in this divorce than most divorcing parents. They're not trying to pin blame all on one parent and have to work out this incredibly massive shift in their lives themselves. This is a huge thing for them emotionally as much as it is for you. If they're not at each other's throats and trying to make things as smooth for you as possible, you can at least show a little decorum and give them some time to work up to explain it to you. Not everything needs to be the result of some big, explosive, dramatic moment. Life isn't TV or TikTok. Go out and touch the grass. OP doesn't sound mature enough to know the reason no matter what it is. Girl, your parents don't owe you everything. You're not entitled to anything other than they fell out of love. That's the reason, kiddo. It's on you that you refuse to accept that. You said yourself the divorce isn't a surprise, but congrats on ruining your relationship with your parents. OP is grieving and is currently in the anger stage. Give her a break. I think you're a teen and don't understand adult relationships. I'm sorry they sprung it on you like this. It isn't fair. In time, you will learn the truth of what happened between your parents, but right now it may be too raw for them. They are human and it's painful for them too. Be grateful they aren't blaming each other to you. Many things can end a relationship, not necessarily cheating or being interested in a different gender. Give some slack for getting a divorce, but you have every right to express your feelings. I'm very sorry this happened to you. You are not the idiot. Agreed. And add to this too, if OP's parents have been acting strangely for a while, then this trip with the grandparents may have been strategically planned to get her out of the house so they could settle the logistics privately. I feel for OP. Even if they saw the writing on the wall, it still feels like you're being blindsided by such an abrupt reality change that was decided when you weren't around. Update. Okay, I'm the idiot. That's okay. I did some digging on my own tonight and I know pretty much what happened now. I don't feel bad about being an idiot to idiots. They planned the move out for more than a month. This wasn't a last-minute thing. My mom's apartment was rented 3 months ago. I have the entire email chain between her and a new landlord and another set of direct messages between her and her parents setting up the trip to get me out of town for the move. My grandparents also lied for the entire trip to keep up the lie. My dad has lied to his job on multiple occasions and I have the Expedia receipts and texts to prove it. Also looking very much like they're both cheaters. I'm just researching the timeline and partners now and finding additional support evidence, so they can't claim it's not true. Right now they can come clean that they both messed up massively and we can figure out if I can trust them again or good riddance to the trash. I've literally not lied to my parents since I was 5. I hate liars. I have nothing to lie about to my parents anyway, and I don't want to live with a cheater or someone who does crappy things to the person they're married to. I'm fully prepared to be buried on this hill and to go down swinging if that's what they need to get the message. I, 22 female, got out of a bad breakup 5 months ago, and I've been doing a lot of emotional eating to cope with it. We were dating for 3 years. It was a bad relationship because it was really toxic and unhealthy for me. But yeah, I've been eating a lot more food lately to try and cope. I know it isn't particularly healthy, but it's a really hard habit to break. Anyway, I'm currently staying at my mom's house for a little while after Easter. Last night I was really upset thinking about my relationship, and I wanted to drive to McDonald's, but I didn't have any money on me, so I took some from my mom's money pot. The story behind the money pot is that it's money for anybody to use. When I live here, I was always allowed to use it for money for the bus, going out with friends, etc. I looked at what I would buy on the website and took $35 to cover my meal. I ate there and then came home while everyone was asleep. My mom woke up this morning and asked me where the money had gone. I told her that I thought everyone was allowed to use it, and she told me I was an adult with an income now, so I'd just stolen from her. Apparently money is tighter than it used to be, and she really needed that $35. I tried to explain my situation to her, and the fact that I just really needed some food at that time, and she said that was a BS excuse and that I was just getting lazy and fat. She told me I needed to pay her back by Friday, or she was no longer speaking to me. So, am I the idiot for stealing from her? The money pot used to be for everyone, so I didn't mean to steal. I feel really bad. I got 4 Big Macs, 2 large fries, and 2 McFlurries. OMG, sorry OP, you must be suffering to eat that much, but you are the idiot. You need to address this yesterday. You are truly endangering yourself, and even using money for everyone to use to do that is wrong. I'm sorry, but that is an excessive amount of food, and this is coming from a man that's 6 feet tall and weighs 265 pounds. He could have taken $10 and gotten enough food to be not hungry anymore and still left most of the money there. Yeah, who eats $35 worth of food at McDonald's just for themselves? They literally have a $1 menu, for goodness sake. You are a grown adult with your own income, and from the sound of it, staying rent-free. You should have asked before using it. I would look into getting into exercising or breaking this habit ASAP. This is anything but healthy. Find a hobby to sink your time into, or find a healthy snack you can eat. I understand your emotional turmoil, however, no one person needs that much food in one sitting. You're 22 years old. It's been 5 months. Please seek therapy for your emotional eating and other side effects this breakup has caused you. Good luck. Also, yes, you are the idiot. You stole that money and need to repay it. We had a family dinner at my house with my brother, 34, and his kids, tween female and teen male, our parents, my wife, 27, my sister, 26, and myself, 30 male. I have the space and means to do so, and it was a really nice get-together up until my wife went into our bedroom and saw my niece and nephew destroying her makeup in the connected bathroom. They dug into her eyeshadow palettes with her brushes. They poured out her foundations into them, and a bunch of her compacts were in the sink soaked in water. She immediately freaked out, and I rushed to the room when I heard her yelling. When I saw what was happening, I grabbed both of them and marched them into the living room. I told my brother what they did, that they needed to leave now and that I would speak to him later. He told me I was overreacting, which I responded by telling him to get the heck out of my house. My parents didn't understand until they saw the giant mess the kids had made, and my sister said I was out of line, but she understood. My wife is absolutely devastated as she got really into makeup during the 2020 lockdown and even started posting to Instagram and has spent a lot of money on her collection. She spent over $4,000 on it, and the collection was her pride and joy. She went through what was destroyed, and they destroyed $1,500 worth of makeup. Monday afternoon, I messaged my brother and told him he needed to pay my wife back for what his kids destroyed and sent him the total. My wife even pulled up the cost of each item ruined, and I sent that to him as well. He told me to screw off and that he won't pay that much, but he's willing to replace one of the pallets. I said that wasn't enough, and that since his kids destroyed very important items, he needed to replace them or pay the cost for them. He got my dad involved, and he said it was unreasonable for me to ask for that much of him, but I feel like it's fair. Not the idiot. I was expecting their ages to be like 5 or younger. A tween and a young teen are definitely old enough to know better and behave better. I would never touch my mother's things at that age without asking. If my son ever did something like that, I'd be so embarrassed, and I'd pay it back, even though I am broke and would have to do one item at a time. Not to mention, in many areas, damages over $1,000 is a felony. so maybe pointing that out to the brother would make him change his tune. If he has no real consequences, how do you expect him to enforce the consequences on his kids? If you enable him by not holding him responsible, you're just showing the kids as well that there aren't any real consequences to their actions. It is a lot of money. Also, what the heck is wrong with these kids? No respect. If the makeup was on display for them to see, they could ask, like a tween girl could ask her to do some eyeshadow for her or something. Something is off here. Either they have so little they become mean, envy, and destroy other people's belongings, or they're spoiled with no boundaries. I wouldn't be surprised if these kids were bullies and in some distress. I thought the same, and it took me back to the time my sibling and I would play with my aunt's jewellery during visits. We were 5 to 12 and never damaged a thing. The teens in this story did it intentionally. They were probably filming it for TikTok as a prank. Their parents should pay it back and take it out of the kids' allowance to teach them a lesson, or they work it off with house chores. My grandma raised me, 26 male. She's been a widow since she was 21. She raised her daughter alone after my grandpa died while serving the country, and when my mum went down a dark path and had me and didn't want me, she stepped in and raised me. Anyone who knows her knows how she is happily single and focuses on other stuff. About 20 years ago, a couple moved in next door to her. The wife died 6 years ago. Ever since, the widower has been trying to get my grandma to marry him. She told me about it a few times, and I've seen the guy try to get closer to grandma. His family, I believe his 2 daughters and son, have even asked grandma to consider companionship with him. She said no, she always has. I visited grandma for a few weeks and saw the family 3 times. The first time they asked if I was their grandson and suggested it would be nice for grandma and their dad to get together. The second time they actually followed me to my car while I was going to get groceries and asked if I would talk to grandma about it. The third time I was doing yard work and they stopped to chat. They tell me how their dad really likes my grandma, how she's been alone and crying for my grandpa for too long, and I should encourage her to marry their dad and find another happily ever after because she doesn't realize how lonely she must be now that she's all alone. I told them they were crazy if they thought my grandma didn't know herself, and they said she was lying to herself. Nobody is happily widowed for 50-something years and doesn't miss the love and companionship of a romantic partner. Then they started getting overly chatty about my grandma's lack of intimate life, and I told them to leave us the heck alone. They told me I didn't need to be so rude and was holding grandma back. They then complained to grandma that she'd raised me to be an idiot. Grandma laughed that they were so outraged given what they were talking about. But am I the idiot for being so rude to them? Not the idiot. Your grandma said no and they need to respect it. I'm going to assume the deceased wife was the homemaker and he is useless at maintaining himself without his wife. There has to be some reason they're so adamant about this. It's bizarre. My thoughts too, they're tired of having to take care of their father and are trying to pawn off their filial duties onto OP's grandmother. If their father never learned how to take care of himself, then that's on him to figure out, not his neighbour. OP, they lack boundaries and entitlement, which is inappropriate and scary. I'm glad you stood up for your grandma. I also suspect some ulterior motives are making that family so insistent on marrying them off. Grandma owns the property. If she marries the neighbour, they may assume her property would be entailed to them. I suggest getting security cameras to record them harassing her. Maybe record them with her phone when they come up and start bothering her. Then, if they keep persisting and she has video proof, maybe she could get a PPO, or the cops might talk to the family and tell them to stop. I have a brother and we do not get along. He has 2 kids, teens, male and female, and while I love them both, I have to admit that I love my niece more. She is the sweetest kid ever. My brother and his family needed a place to stay for a while, and I decided to let them stay with me only because of my niece and nephew. I need to add that my niece is my brother's affair child and my nephew is his child with his wife, and my sister-in-law and niece do not get along. Niece's mom is not in her life. Anyway, I live in a 3-bedroom home. One is mine, obviously. One is a bigger ensuite and the other one is a smaller bedroom without a bathroom. I decided that my niece deserved to have her own space and be treated like a priority for once, so I gave the ensuite to her and asked my brother, sister-in-law and nephew to share the other room. Now they're all mad at me and think I'm an idiot and should have at least given them the bigger room. You are the idiot. Good on you for letting them stay, but you can't choose to let them stay just to punish 3 of them while clearly favouring your niece. You're an adult and this shouldn't need to be explained why you are the idiot. offering an olive branch to use as a control tactic. Playing favourite spitefully is an idiot move, but you already know that. And honestly, giving the niece the biggest room and making the rest of the family share the other puts her in a very uncomfortable position with the rest of the family. A few weeks or months staying in an ensuite isn't going to make up for additional tension with the people she actually lives with full time. OP's brother is an adult and is not being put anywhere. If he finds the living arrangement unsuitable, he's free to sponge off with somebody else. You're not the idiot. Your house, your rules. It doesn't follow logic, but being the affair child would be tough, so I get why you did what you did. One benefit, though, is that the cramped living environment will likely see them move out faster and incentivize them to get back on their feet. That is not my problem. My problem is that OP just put a huge target on her back. The sweet little niece is the one her brother will torture, the one her father will mock because she's a reminder of his flaws, and the stepmom will try to poison her life in every way possible. OP just put this girl at great risk. This girl needs to get to live with OP permanently once the family finds living arrangements.